Hi, this is Joe Anthony, the godfather of rock and roll of Kiss FM, with my favorite new band. They're on Epic Records, and they are Fifth Angel. Ted Pilot, the lead vocalist with Fifth Angel. Gosh, it's really an honor being with you today in the studio. I've been a fan of Fifth Angel from the very beginning. That was about 1968. Huh?
I don't think so. I think it's in diapers about then.
Did you start out in high school together, or where did you meet? What happened with Fifth Angel? How did it come about?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, actually. Ed Archer and Kenny Murray, the drummer, and I went to the same high school in Bellevue, where we grew up, and we had a band there, and we used to play for things at school, lunchtime things. We used to play for contests, all that type of stuff. We used to win contests, and so we thought, hey, this might work out. This might be a pretty good deal. And so we just developed our craft over the next few years, and we had a lot of jobs in taverns, the typical thing that bands do, playing for taverns, playing in small halls, like everybody else tries to do. And finally one day we decided it was time for a change. And the band basically split up and we went our separate ways. And later on, a couple years later, I met James Bird, who is our lead guitarist now. And he was currently working on a project and wanted me to do some vocal work for him. So I thought that after listening to James play, I thought there was some definite potential there for a good songwriter and a great lead guitarist. And so I called up Ken and Ed Archer, who I again played with, and we got together and started working out Fifth Angel. And ever since that point, it really seemed to click. There was something there from the first day we all played together.
Well, did you think in the beginning that you were going to do this professionally, or was it kind of like just for fun, and then all of a sudden you realized you guys were better than you thought?
Well, I think it's like everyone who starts out. You always have aspirations. People always place musicians on a pedestal. They go to concerts and they go, boy, I wish I could be just like that. And that's the way we were also. We'd go to concerts and we'd say, boy, I wish I could be just like that. Someday I want to be on stage just like that. But at the time, when you're playing small taverns and small halls and schools, you figure, well, it's a long, long way away. And I guess if I had to say anything, it'd be if you just have persistence, it seems to pay off in the long run.
Tell us about the different members of the band, Ted, and their names and what they play. And
well, first we have, of course, myself. I'm the lead vocalist, and John, who's with us here tonight, and he's the bass player. And we have James Bird on lead guitar, and Kenny Murray on drums, and we have Ed Archer, who plays rhythm guitar.
Now, I know that Kenny also drums with Alice Cooper once in a while, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
And John plays with other bands. And it's amazing that, this band is really unusual in as much as that you have other jobs to support yourself, and you're very patient waiting for this album to happen. And that's great because you don't give up the feeling for what you're doing. You're still working around and doing things in music to supplement your incomes. Is it difficult getting started? I mean, as far as money is concerned, does it take a lot of money to run a band like you've got?
Yeah, it does. Because basically what you have to do, what all bands need to do, or basically all bands that I've known that have had major deals, is that you have to have enough money to record a decent demo tape. And a decent demo tape costs money. You're talking maybe $1,000 a song, for a good demo. And you have to have some way to supplement, whether it be by music or an outside job, that initial startup cost. So I would say, that's where the outside jobs come into play, is you have to keep putting money. It's like any business, you have to put money into a business, and hopefully later it will turn a profit, or it will pay off in the long run.
If not, you're going to fade to flames.
That's very true. We have to hope that doesn't happen.
Ted, you guys have played a lot in different bands, haven't you?
Yes, we have.
John, I know you, of course, we talked about that earlier, and it seems quite unusual that as Fifth Angel, y'all haven't yet really been out there on stage, have you, until now? And you're preparing for this big move all of a sudden. The album's out, And now, for the first time, all your endeavors and the different bands, you're going to pull them together and work as Fifth Angel. I think that's going to be exciting.
We just want to go out there right from the start, have the show really kick some ass, have it sound great. And we've all had enough stage experience that we figured that we could just all go out there and really kick some ass.
It'll come together real fast and real easy. One of the songs that I really liked was in the Fallout. It grabs you right away. It has a real powerful beat. That's also one of our favorite songs, and we think that song will go over real well live.
Ted, John, Fifth Angel. Gosh, where'd you get a name like that?
Sitting around one day, just trying to think of a name for the band. I think that's a big dilemma for a lot of new bands when they form is, what are we going to name our band? What name is going to be the very best? We found the name in the Bible when we were just thumbing through looking for names. when we ran across the name Fifth Angel, it just really stuck out. Just really had a ring to it.
Does it have a particular meaning, though, the fifth angel?
It actually does. Yeah, it's. I'll leave it up to the listeners to go look it up. It's in the Book of Revelations.
Yeah.
And that's how the name was started.
That's correct. That's right. And
you never had another name. Never thought another name after that.
Never thought of. Never wanted another name. You know, this is a name that we're really comfortable with, and we think it represents the band. I can't tell you why, for sure, but it just seems to represent the band. It seems to fit.
It flows real well,
Yeah.
even though we do realize that there are a lot of bands out there that have the word angel in them. That doesn't really bother us.
Hey, let's mention what Fifth Angel's about musically. You know, there's a lot of metal bands out there, and you have a distinctive sound all your own. Even though you say you watched other rock and roll bands when you were a kid, Fifth Angel has a lot of power and melody to it. You know, it's not just speed and thrash and a lot of guitar licks, but it all seems to gel together. How did that happen? Why isn't it just all speed or all guitar licks? How did it work so well that you've got a good balance of sound?
Well, I think, as with any musician, you try to write what you feel. The way you feel about a song, that's the way you feel about anything, is what you try to express in your music. And I feel if you can express the way you feel inside or your emotions at the time correctly, that's what people really latch onto. And I like to write emotionally. I mean, I like to write with melody. I mean, I enjoy melody. I get a kick out of writing with melody, you could say. And then, of course, with any metal, I think it's good. You have to have the power. You know, you want the power behind it. You want to drive your point home.
Also, I think everybody in this band has had different musical backgrounds as far as playing different kinds of music. And one thing good about Ken Mary is that he is a very powerful drummer, and that's what gives the band that real powerful push. And then with the way Ted sings, he's very melodic, whereas like a lot of the other metal bands are kind of, you know, they don't emphasize on the melody as much as the speed.
Well, you know, there's different metal bands, and they all have their own little distinctive abilities that they project musically. And Fifth Angel, I think, is safe to say that it is the power and the melody combined that really works well.
I think that's what we were striving for, you know, the whole time, is combining those two in a very cohesive manner.
In the album Fifth Angel, John, what song do you really feel is a good track that you really get into with your bass? Is there something that you really exemplify the bass in?
The song Fifth Angel is real fun to play.
Ted, did you write most of the songs on the album?
The songs were written pretty much conjointly between myself, James, and Ed Archer. We get together and write stuff as a threesome. We don't like to just have one person write a song because we feel that if 3 individuals in the band think the song is really hot, then there's a better chance that our audience will think the song is also real hot. So,
does the album Fifth Angel, this one that you've got out right now,
but
tell me, does it follow some theme? All the different songs on there, you got The Night and Shout It Out and Call of the Warning and Fifth Angel and Wings of Destiny. Does it have a theme to all those songs? They tie in together, or?
Well, they don't tie in together per se as like a story, but I think they all have a common theme, and that is basically they all have to deal with current situations or situations that we all face, every day. The lyrics are written in such a way which it doesn't really make it obvious. I mean, it's kind of, the lyrics are written with more or less a medieval accent to a more Baroque style, and they hopefully, to the listener, they portray what the listener wants to hear. Because I like people to interpret the words or the lyrics the way they think what the song means. I don't like to tell people, well, this song means this. If you listen to Cry Out the Fools, it means, this and this and this and this. I like the person who's listening to the song to develop their own interpretation of the song. That's
interesting. In other words, Cry Out the Fools would be one thing to you and another thing to me.
That's very true. I think basically if by the way the music sounds, the feeling in the music, and the lyrical content, you can get the general emotion and feeling and an idea of what I was trying to bring across. But for the actual fine details of what it means, I think that's a lot up to the person who's listening to the album.
What do you think about rock and roll today, guys? Do you think that there's going to be any big changes in the next few years, or do you think that it's going to be the same for the next several years musically, or do you think there's progression every time you do an album? What are your feelings for the future for Fifth Angel? Do you see yourself going into jazz or disco, or how does that evolve with you? Are you even thinking about it now?
Well, if you look at the scene, we've seen disco, we've seen the resurgence of heavy metal, and now we're back to mainstream rock, basically. Who knows what's going to pop up next in the scene, But I think a real important thing for a band to do is do what you do best.
Yeah, exactly.
Always stick to your guns. If what we play now is what we play the best. And if we happen to deviate a little bit from the style 4 years down the road, well, that's fine, as long as we are playing what we think we are doing best at the time.
It'll always be Fifth Angel, and you'll always be able to tell.
So that's great. You're right on target with your feelings.
That's
once
right.
Again.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Ted, you're the vocalist. You surely have a particular song on there that you enjoy doing. What is one of the songs that you like the best on the album?
If I had to choose a particular song off the album, I would say it would be Cry Out the Fools, definitely. The song has emotion and melody and intensity. It has all the ingredients, I think, that build a really great song.